All right. I'd like to call to order the Farmington Board of Education regular meeting on Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 7:02 p.m. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is item 5, approval of minutes. Can I have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the May 11th, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain, Andrea. I
Oh,
wasn't here.
okay. All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, 6, consideration of superintendent's report, summer learning.
Assistant Superintendent Veronica Ruzek will share with you all the summer learning opportunities happening in the district this summer.
So if you can go to the next slide. So there you can see that the summer is a very busy time for our schools, and generally a lot of our programs are at FHS and Westwood's Upper Elementary School. We were not in that building last year due to some construction that was going on. We were at IER, but we're back to Westwood's, which works out really well because you'll hear a report from Brian and his team over here about all the programs they have. So in addition to the programs that you'll hear about from them, these are the ones that are really on the academic side of the house in terms of summer programs, because there's also extension programs that they'll talk about. And so many of these we offer every year. The first one is extended school year for special services. And there's a really long list of things that happen. So these are services like Farmington Preschool, the SLC Preschool, academic support, SEL programming. This is a time when some students get intensive decoding, counseling services, SLP, occupational therapy, and homebound instruction. You don't get a full report here today because this ends up being a fall report where you get all the details of how many students participated and all of that. So this is just to remind you that our schools are a very busy time in the summer. There's lots of opportunities for credit recovery. And these are really designed in order for there not to be a summer slide for the most part. You can see on some of them, though, they are credit recovery. So there's a couple of credit recovery opportunities for FHS students. The one thing I'd really like to emphasize, though, is the Ready for Kindergarten Camp. This is a new program that we're able to offer due to a CREC grant that was offered, a wraparound CREC grant. So everything is paid through that grant. And we're able to open up, again, some support in the summer for students who are moving from Ready for Kindergarten. So from our preschool, we take about 10 students in through the choice program. And so they were all offered the opportunity, and almost all of them will be coming here. And we've also opened up several seats for Farmington students into the Ready for Kindergarten camp. So each school had a chance to send 2 students to that. So that'll be a very exciting camp with lots of really highly talented teachers giving the students a little extra boost before they go to kindergarten. Ideally, we'd actually like to move that to be August program, like right before school, but given the way that the grant fell, it'll be a June. It's our first try, so we're seeing it as a pilot. We'll continue to sort of monitor that program and see whether it's something that we would ask for to repeat in years to come. So again, very, very, very busy time in the summer that our schools are going to be buzzing with all of these different programs and more, because I know that Brian in a little while will tell you about all the programs he has. I also want to thank Brian for his partnership, because many of these programs actually end around noon, 11 o'clock, 11:30 or noon, but many parents really need students in order to participate in this. They need to stay all day, and so we've partnered with Excel, and they're able to offer them spots after these programs are over, so they can stay for the entire day. And then all the other thank yous that need to be said, I'll do in the fall when we talk about the programs and what has happened. But so many people working on this, so I extend a thank you to all those people. They know who they are, but they'll be in the booklet next year.
Questions, comments? Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Next item, B, continuing education annual report.
Okay, so Brenda Donlin is here to provide the annual report. Farmington provides continuing education programs both to this community and the surrounding ones, and I think we've grown to one of the largest in the state at this point, so something to be proud of. Brenda?
Thank you for every. I have a slide, I think.
Yes,
It's
there's
in
a
there.
slide.
Here it is. So my program really straddles two areas. We have our enrichment program, which supports a lot of the youth activities, as well as adult community enrichment classes. That continues to be, as Jess said, one of the biggest and strongest in the state, fully self-sustaining. So we run about a dozen bus trips a year for area residents. This year we had over 250 separate courses during the school year that ranged from knitting and needle felting, which is one of my personal favorites, to Spanish, French, and meditation. So any of that, if you should all hopefully get our catalog in the mail. Our overall enrollment declined a little bit, but due to some cost-cutting measures, we're still financially strong. No concerns there. And one of the big changes was we moved the ski club program, which we had been running for a number of years, back over to Farmington Recreation. That seemed to be a seamless process. Many parents had students participating in that for years, and just a few questions through email and phone calls, but nothing, no complaints. It went off without a hitch, and so it just gave us an opportunity to focus more on a lot of the more academic enrichment programs for our area students. The main reason for our program is what we refer to as the mandated program. For anyone who isn't familiar with that, the state of Connecticut mandates that every district has to offer a high school completion option, a citizenship classes, and English for speakers of other languages for adults. And so we usually have a little over 100 students every year come through our program. This year, 22 of those students were in our GED program, and we have 9 graduates out of those 22, which is a pretty good performance record, which will lead me to, if you look at the top right, our lead GED instructor, Lisa Tomasevich, was honored this year by our state association as one of the 3 state educators of the year for her just dedication and performance with her GED students since she joined us. This, I believe, is the end of her 4th year with us. And we've seen, every year, we've seen an increase in both enrollment and completion with her. So it was a great honor for us to nominate her and for her to receive that. We have a few students, and one of them is pictured there, Lucilla, who earned her citizenship. We have one of our star students of the year, Suichi. He spent over 200 hours studying English with us. Some of that was on his own through an online platform that we were able to provide. And he moved up to one of the top ESL levels, ESL level 6, and is now working on his resume, interview skills, and hoping to get back into the workforce. And so you'll see the flyer for our Working World class. We have a PEP grant that this was the end of the 2nd year out of a 4-year grant cycle on that. And so we're currently running a 6-week intensive workshop style course for any of our eligible students. And they're getting one-on-one resume help, interviewing, mock interviews, and leads on how to do job searches, and then we bridge them into local areas like the American Job Center. Tunxus is another strong partner And so that's so far been pretty popular, and it was a change from the way we ran that grant program last year, and we're hoping to build on that for this coming year. And then I just gave you a few little tidbits on the value of our program, and we do collaborate with 4 other districts for to help bring in more students in the area, and also keeps costs down for all of the districts. So thank you for always funding us and supporting our program. And I think that's about all.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have Farmington Extended Care and Learning Annual Report. Welcome, Brian.
Good evening. My name's Brian Zario. A lot of new faces here. At the core, the Extended Care and Learning Program is a program provided to provide a safe and enriching environment for students after school at all the elementary schools in Westwoods. We had a great year today. We continue to be self-sustaining. But today I brought my leadership team with me. They do everything behind the scenes. I have Amanda Mashad, who oversees the Excel program and all the summer programming. Connie Regala is our early childhood coordinator. And I have Lawrence Akash Tara, who is going to be the new site supervisor over at East Farms. He currently was a year ago, and he's coming back to us. He left for a little bit, but he's coming back to us. So this core leadership team is just great. I can't say enough great things about them. One of our highlights, I think there's a slide there. One of our highlights every year, we do leadership team on the left. That represents all the site supervisors for all the elementary schools. Our STEM Expo this year was one of our biggest ever. I think we had close to 400 people. And for the first time since I've been here, we have had a representative from preschool all the way through 12th grade students there helping. And it was a wonderful evening in this wonderful space. At this time, I'd like to invite any questions if there's any from the board.
Brian, can you just introduce us to, you missed one person on your team. I just want, okay.
I'm very embarrassed now. So Eric Wegman is a Farmington High School graduate from a little while ago. And he is the program facilitator for the mandated program. And one of his biggest accomplishments is this is the end of his second year in his role. And he has brought up our measurable skill gain rate from the low 20s to 41% in just 2 years with his dedication, his data analysis, and relationship building.
Which is significant in the sense that that has now raised it above the state average.
And exceeds the federal average, the federal targeted rate.
So within these two, we have adult ed, extended care learning, preschool. We're all down at One Depot Place. I invite everyone to come in, stop by, take a look at our place. I also would love anyone to come down, take a look at our preschool programs or after-school programs. We invite you to come down and see what's going on.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Matt?
I just want to ask about preschool. I was just curious, how many students attend our preschool? Are we maxed out? Are we at a wait list? I noticed you're like exploring that. Just talk about, obviously preschool is a big issue in the state. Just curious how that's going here in Farmington.
Preschool is a huge demand in this district. Right now, we have 72 spots that we have for tuition-based students.
Right.
The other side of that would be students who come half-day for special services.
Yep.
This year, we revamped our enrollment process, wait list, how we do it to a lottery system, second year running. We currently have 131 families on there. We have, I think as of last week, we have the last 6 remaining spots. And I think we were at, I don't want to give an exact number because I don't have that with me, but we are high in the 70s of that 131. So there will be families who will not have that
Got it. So
opportunity.
if we didn't want to have a wait list, we would need to open up 50 more family slots essentially?
Yeah, I mean, we would have to open probably 6 to 7 classrooms of 15 students. And that is on my future goal to explore spaces
Is
in
that,
the
is that a
district.
space issue, personnel issue, or
It-
a money?
Right now,
resource
it's
issue?
a space issue.
Yeah.
Which will turn into right now, it's a space issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Do you feel, because I've heard a lot about the preschool, how you got in, and it was previously, you had to sign up at 8 AM, and then people were signing
Yeah.
up and not getting in after they signed up at 8 o'clock in 1 second.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That's
So-
why we went to the lottery system. But are you feeling that was the positive, like, are you getting positive feedback from that, or are people now still complaining? Because I've now heard the flip side, that you're not granting, like, siblings even in, siblings are not necessarily.
Yeah, so we mainstreamed everything to be as even and equal as can be. So, yeah, no sibling.
Yeah.
We're just, because not everyone has a sibling, so we tried to make it as transparent and equal as we can for everybody.
So you feel like this new lottery system is working better than the previous?
Yes, I think we've made, yeah.
I can give I'll say a qualitative analysis of that. When I first, came in, that was one of the things, other than transportation, that I got bombarded with, right? People giving feedback about, once again, waiting, it wasn't working, it wasn't fair, like, it's not fair that people have time to be able to do it, I have to work, like, a lot of different things. And so since now this was the second year of going, technically I like to call it randomization process as opposed to lottery for some technical reasons, but didn't get any, like, at least, especially, we didn't get much from last time, but this time really, people just understand that sometimes there's just not enough spots. But there wasn't the complaints about, like, the system isn't fair, or there's opportunities. We've also worked to phase out the priority that staff members, that Farmington staff members had that, and so they felt there's like a, unfair advantage for that. And so that one but we also felt that some staff had felt that, this was kind of a perk of coming in, so we wanted to try to be fair to them. So we worked toward phasing that piece out, which then opened up more spots to Farmington residents. So I think the residents appreciated that, because that was another kind of concern there. So overall, I can say, at least from my level, I didn't get the same passion that I got maybe a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely put the residents first, and
Yeah,
I think it's a good.
because I think that was the other feedback I always heard was you said 72 spots, so I was gonna ask how many of those, are those 72 for Farmington residents, or are there other spots, or is that inclusive of these other ones that you're giving to?
60, yes, about 60. We have 10 open choice students every year.
So there's also 10 open choice students that are involved in that as well?
Correct.
Has that been evaluated at all too? I mean, if we have Farmington residents on the wait list, but we're giving them to open choice students, has that been looked at all?
I don't think we've evaluated it, but it's part of our process here for bringing choice students in. The philosophy being the earlier we get them as part of our community, the more success they'll have long-term. And so we primarily bring in students in pre-K and K, and have found, again, that just to be one of the greatest ways to bring a successful experience about for those families and those students. I don't know when the last time it's been examined is, but that's the philosophy behind opening those seats.
And there's great longevity to that, so students that we bring in pre-K do stay with the district for a long time.
And out of that number, obviously, we have returners. The new kindergarten age date does change that. So we're cycling through more students rather than before, where a student could have stayed for 3 years. So now it's more 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Ann?
What about children if they get a referral from something like Birth to 3 because they have educational needs where they're a little bit behind where they should be?
So the special service department handles that. That's not part of those numbers. That's just tuition students.
Okay.
Beth?
And how has it going at Westwoods? Now you've had a full year there, right?
Yeah, it's going great. Yeah, we put in a brand new, beautiful playground this year. We have 3 classrooms running right now and 1 SLC. It's working really well there.
Good.
I'd just like to thank Brian and Brenda and their team for doing an incredible job with these programs. We kind of check in on them, but they really, go with it and do a fabulous job. From almost an educational standpoint, kind of just also remind that, their programs are, primarily operating outside of the operating budget. So they are self-sufficient, programs there. So if, sometimes people have concerns about, but they are, kind of self-funded, self-sustaining, create their own budgets each year, maintain that, even have, been successful to have a reserve. So in case that there were some, liens, they can kind of balance it out. And so they're doing a tremendous job. So I just want to personally thank them.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. All right. Next item, professional appointments, resignations, and retirements.
So there are 4 resignations in your report this evening, which are effective at the end of the 25-26 school year. You'll see 2 special education teachers, one from East Farms and one from the high school, a social studies teacher at Farmington High School, and a speech and language pathologist at Westwoods Upper Elementary School.
Questions?
I'll just say those are the ones, remember we said that there were some, and that you get them in this report, so these were anticipated, and so some of those positions are already filled.
Next item, deeper learning update.
So in this edition, you'll find updates from all 7 of our schools, including information on a partnership with the Stanley Whitman House, in which students engaged in play-based learning, exploring local historical sites, archival records, and material culture to better understand how history, identity, and public memory are connected to the community today. You may also be interested in hearing about a group of 3rd graders from Union School recently presented to the town's Green Efforts Committee about our waste sorting and reduction program, a student-led initiative that started this spring.
All right. Comments, questions? Updates.
Just a couple, not that anyone is counting, but there are 12 days of school left at this point, and just 7 until graduation. We recognized our seniors this evening, so I'm sure if anybody's counting down, it's them. But I think for me, the takeaway this evening is our students mentioning how they'll be sad to go, right? That they feel a strong connection to the Farmington community, to Farmington public schools, and that they've had a positive experience here. And so while there'll be some celebration, I'm sure there'll be lots of tears on graduation, which is scheduled for the class of 2026 on Wednesday, June 10th at 6 p.m. And the ceremony takes place right here at Farmington High School, so we look forward to seeing you all there. In addition, there's one other large promotion ceremony, which is for Irving Robbins Middle School. That will take place here at the high school as well at 5 p.m. on June 17th. They have found that being here at the high school is preferable. It's also kind of a nice bridge to ending their time at the middle school and being here at the high school. And then our last day of school is scheduled for Wednesday, June 17th. It's an early release day for students. And so again, 12 days left, and then we'll be off to the summer. But as Veronica said, we never sleep. We'll be working all summer to get ready for the new school year. So that's it.
7, unfinished business. Item A is budget impact, budget update.
Hi, everyone. So as you know, as we get into that last month, we're kind of, monitoring the operational budget for there. One of the other pieces that we focus on this now is really kind of wrapping up also grants, and spending those down. We usually have, this week's kind of a last time to make sure we process them so they can get covered by June 30th. The team has done a really nice job on those. And you'll see, I'll kind of give you like a little preview. Then when we get to September, there's a few different grants that we won't fully expend, but these were kind of more not the entitlement grants that kind of I'll say complement operating expense. These are kind of more like enrichment type things that sometimes we don't get them until like December or something, and so to try to spend them down in there, it would be difficult to do. The PEP grant is a continuing ed grant. That's probably an example that we might not be able to spend down fully, but I can assure you it's not really at the expense of kind of any type of, offsetting and operating thing. It's just, kind of certain things that, like I said, whether it's the time we get them or sometimes too, the grants might be very narrow in focus, so as far as what we can do, and sometimes if they don't align really with what we want to do, there's an ARPA Right to Read grant that has very kind of strict guidelines about the type of programming they want us to get, which doesn't really kind of go along with the curriculum. So we'll kind of expend there, but sometimes there might be some other opportunities there. So we're working through that this month. And then, once again, the overall good news is we're still projected to finish very strong at the end of the year. And, as I mentioned before, just, always looking for any, kind of input as we talk about that, the money that wasn't expended for the 3 kindergarten teachers there and looking to return to town. We've talked a little bit about wanting to add some money to the non-lapsing account. If Jess or me, I'm happy to kind of talk a little bit about, the thought process on really trying to move that non-lapsing account to have where we would have enough for theoretically 2 non-deployed teachers. Those are those teachers that we put in the budget for those kind of surprise enrollment things at the end. And so if we have that, I think we've talked about having about $100,000 for any unexpected capital or major projects. So when you have that, the water heater at central offset goes, it doesn't really kind of take from there. And then just putting in for a couple like those surprise, out of district placements that can kind of put a little bit of impact. And so the thought is if we had that, when we plan for the 27-8-28 budget, and even really moving forward, we can kind of, I don't know if being more aggressive, but not, you wouldn't need to necessarily put in those non-deployed teachers in there that are placeholders. You can kind of do that, which would bring, the overall operating down. And if we did need them, once again, we would then have this opportunity, this venue, this source to be able to kind of pay for those. So it's kind of even though it's having that money that's there, and some people will, why don't you just use it to bring it down? Doing that creates this what we call fiscal cliff. Where if you put in $250,000 there that you don't have a way to bring it every year, now the next year you're kind of actually starting at minus $250,000, and so that makes that following year. So it gives you a little relief in one year, but then it takes it there. So the thought process is to create kind of this buffer that allows us to kind of budget. I would say like not more true, but not worrying so much about those unexpected variables that unfortunately come up more often than not.
I'd add to that too that a question that can be asked is, well, haven't you had unanticipated outplacements in the past, or had to add a teacher even above perhaps like an unassigned teacher? And the answer is yes, those things do happen. In the absence of the non-lapsing fund, right, that would be where we would go into the operating budget and we're making cuts, right? We're making decisions about what types of equipment, resources that we might not be purchasing in that fiscal year in order to address that unanticipated expense. So as Dan mentioned, this would allow us to make some adjustments and bring down some requests in the overall operating budget, but also ensure that that budget that's proposed, comes to fruition with a greater level or, a greater amount of success in future years and dependability. So there's a couple things that we think this accomplishes. Sorry. Questions?
Angela?
My only thought when you were saying it with the non-lapsing account is I like the idea of it covering expenses that are unforeseen, like a water heater, as you gave an example. I think that's like a perfect use of it. I am a little hesitant when you're saying to use that potentially for like non-deployed teachers if you use them. Kind of what you are saying then, so if you do have to use that, the next year, where does that money then come from? Like, you're using that for that 1 year that you need them, but I mean, we all know that teacher's probably not gonna go away the year after that. That teacher's then on our payroll. So that would be my only like hesitation in terms of any recurring expense that would occur to use the non-lapsing account. But I do agree and am in favor of using it for these one-time hit things that, you know, you have damage for or something like that. So I'm sure this will come up again during budgeting, but when you were saying that, that was just what was resonating with me. And, you know, and just history repeats itself. We don't really get rid of positions here that often, so I'm assuming if we want them 1 year, they're probably gonna come back the next year. And then where do we put that?
No, listen, I think those are great points. I think one of the things that ideally is, in this case where, let's say it was the water heater, right, and we use the non-lapsing account, you would hope that maybe, in a year or two, maybe you wouldn't be able to put, replenish it there, but if we had a little bit of excess in that year's budget, could kind of put it back in, right? And so the thought would be, you would hope you wouldn't hit like the trifecta where you needed like the water heater, 2 placements, and 2 non-deployed teachers, and so now you go there.
Yep.
And so if if the next year you needed something from the non-lapsing, that might kind of go into that little bit of maybe the water heater until maybe we get another good year where we can kind of replenish that, right? So the thought would be kind of always, maintain that range that has it, and so, that we're always kind of maintaining that. You don't want to, to get it, that surplus to get so big, that you're thinking they're like, okay, well, there's that piece of it, but just to have that so that we can continue to provide, really strong budgets.
Yeah, just something to think about.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be solved here, but just a thought. Matt, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate Angela's point, but I think you don't necessarily need to be so conservative with the non-lapsing account, right? Because part of those funds could be used for those classrooms that have 22, 23, 24 students. And as we saw this year, we did RIF 4 teachers and it ended up being 3. So this board certainly saw enrollment drop, and we did make the sort of tough budget, and we discussed that and about reducing teachers, right? So it's sort of 1 year and we have to look at the enrollment, and if enrollment went down, we didn't necessarily just keep the teachers flat, right? We actually made like not an easy decision with teachers very early in their career to RIF them. So I think, if there are those hotspot teachers, I appreciate everyone kind of looking and try to do their best there. And I think there's always a balance with the budget to provide services to what Farmington families expect. And I think, again, those classrooms where it is becoming overcrowded, especially at the K through 2 level, I think that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right.
Next item, policy update, second reading. Need a motion, right?
Yep.
First.
Yeah, I move to approve the policy updates listed below for a second reading. 3170, board budget procedures and line item transfers, 5112.1 and 5112.1A, admission to the public schools at or before age 5, and 6153 and 6153A, field trips.
Second?
Discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. Next, item 8, new business, cafeteria contract renewal. Can I have a motion? I think I'm on the right thing, right?
Yes. I move to approve the amendment number 3 dated June 1st, 2026 as presented. Amendment number 3 sets the management and administrative fees for the 2026-2027 school year. In management fees, there will be a 0% increase, and in administrative fees, there will be a 2.5% increase.
Second?
Discussion?
So this is, our annual approving of the Chartwells, running our food services program. They've overall done a very nice job since the, even the time I've been here, and looking historically in the back, previously to that. Each year, there's the management fee. This is the same percentage that we had last year, so we kept everything flat, kind of rolling over. Like I said, they continue to do a really nice job providing, healthy options for students, providing meals and programming, and it also, still providing it at a, still maintaining, there's a minimum profit level that they must meet every year, and they continue to meet that and exceed that, which then allows us to use that funding to reinvest into our school and into our infrastructure. So, once again, another, benefit of that is when we start talking about capital projects, major projects, one thing that you would probably have maybe you've noticed, maybe didn't notice, is you don't see us having to put in for, new ovens, new fridges, new, all those, this fund that comes from there, kind of self-sustains that. So we were able to put some new serving lines over at IAR in Westwood, some new, we're just purchasing, I think it's a new dishwasher, I believe it's at Westwood's. And these are, pretty expensive items, as you can imagine, industrial, grade type appliances and things. So those are things that aren't, once again, having to put on the operating budget. Have we taken any questions?
Angela?
Can I just ask so I understand, the management fee versus the administration fee, what is that? And that's nothing that's being passed on in like the prices of the food or anything? This is strictly like or is that being passed on in the prices of the food?
Not kind of directly in there, but it's all kind of, kind of built in where they, kind of they take it. However, we still have control over setting the lunch prices. We actually work with the state of Connecticut, and so even the state of Connecticut, they even tell us, give us a guidance about what how much the fees can be, like what is the limit. And I think, the cap on it was, I think, like 3.7 or something was the most that they can do. And so we work kind of with what the state gives us, they give us a number, we negotiate, we go back and forth. Ultimately, like I said, it kind of landed at just flat from last year. We just actually, there's an equity tool that the state has us kind of fill out to kind of take a look to see where we're setting prices at. They've actually said that, we could, if we want to, move it up to like, there's an average, because each school, each level has different prices for lunches. So we can move it, the average up to like 40 cents up. We'll probably look to maybe do a little bit. I don't know if we need to go with the full 40 cents on that, but just, given obviously the increased gas prices and food and inflation kind of numbers there, just want to kind of be able to adjust it a little bit. So, we'll kind of take a look at that, in the next meeting, but I don't think we've changed lunch prices. I believe it's been a couple years. I think maybe 3 years ago, there was like a 60-cent bump. I think if we do that, though, it'll, it won't be nearly to that level. But like I said, the average could go up to 40 cents. They just gave us some guidance, and so.
So we're not really voting on that though specifically now? That's
Correct.
just in consideration with this 2.5 increase, like you'll take that into consideration when you do that?
Correct.
Which we're not involved, or are we involved in that? Did we vote on that?
I will double check to see historically. I don't believe, at least I couldn't see that you guys were involved in that. Like, I would probably give you a budget update impact and let you know
Okay.
kind of where we landed on that. But I don't think the board needs to take action on the actual,
Got it. Okay.
420 or 435.
Yeah.
There, but this would be the one that the state requires us to have you guys take action, and then we submit it to the state, and then the state actually needs to approve our contract with Chartwell's.
Okay, got it.
Question, and not necessarily, well, because we're talking food, lunch, breakfast. Didn't the breakfast pass for free breakfast for students, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
okay.
as part of this legislative session, it was passed that breakfast will be free for all students,
students, yeah.
regardless of free and reduced lunch status. And I believe, if I have it right, I'll double check that if you are on reduced lunch status, now lunch will also be free. So they're gonna cover that differential for lunch for students so if you're free or reduced, it'll be free. And then breakfast for all. And actually, we just had our cafeteria advisory meeting earlier today. And so that's gonna be some of the conversations we have, because now, logistical and spacing and, at the elementary school, you have a cafeteria that can hold maybe 80 students, but now you might be feeding, having everybody going through the lines and space and that, but not putting too much of a burden on custodial staff and so be thoughtful about, students with food allergies and locations. So that'll be some of our summer planning to try to be thoughtful about that. But yes, that just got passed and that'll obviously have an impact on participation.
Dan, we had those situation like a few years ago, so we have data probably that says how many kids took advantage of the free lunch, right? The free breakfast. That was free, and then it went back just recently to
Yes,
posting.
absolutely. And some of that was kind of during COVID, and so, you kind of,
True.
some of those rules about like eating in the classroom was a little bit more relaxed. And so, like I said, we'll have to kind of see how the two kind of merge. We'll come up with something, and, I'll work something out that works best for all the people who are impacted by it, but.
Just two quick ones. My colleagues are similar thought process to me. If I can use the term hot lunch, cold lunch, Is there more hot lunch, less hot lunch over the past couple of years? Do we have any sense of how much Chartwell's is actually meals they're serving?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the data in front of me,
Yeah.
but, we meet monthly with Joe Walsh, who's our food services director, and Beth Haber, and we oversee, we take a look at the financials
Yeah.
and different pieces, and so he has, he gives us all those numbers and the data, and, once again, one of the things that we responded to from the leadership team is at the elementary school is students had the ability to purchase snacks at the kindergarten and first grade level. And that, it was ultimately decided by the team and some feedback we got from parents that they weren't maybe ready to handle that kind of reasonable autonomy on there.
They're
So
not in high
and we
school
also
either.
realized that schools were kind of doing things a little differently. So we've moved to be more consistent so that it was there. So kindergarten, they're not allowed to purchase snacks beyond the meals. They can buy multiple meals. So if we have some students who are really hungry and they want to get a second meal, they certainly can, but they can't kind of start with 2 ice creams and then work their way to the meal. And then in first grade, same thing. They're not snacks except for, I think they're allowed a fun Friday, which I think most of the schools have adopted, like ice cream on Friday, the one day a week, kind of that piece to kind of get them in the practice of that. So we'll kind of continue to take a look at that. But despite putting that in this year, during a cafeteria, the a la carte sales, the non kind of, certified meals that they have still continue to go up, mainly with the Westwoods IAR and the high school offsetting some of the decrease there. And that's even despite the 100 less kids in the district, right? So you would think fewer kids in the district, you're going to sell fewer meals. But they were able to kind of offset that.
Got it, thanks.
One more, sorry.
Yeah, please.
It's a silly one, but I have to say, they must have introduced nachos because I constantly get requests for nachos at home now. Like nachos, like nacho meals, I don't know, I mean, I've learned how to make it now, but it's like it's a favorite for my Westwoods kid. I
Yeah,
don't
they've
know.
done some really kind of creative things. As you know, when they have the snacks here, they find ways to reformulate Doritos so that they
Yeah.
meet the health requirements, and then they have these. Sometimes they call them like taco boats,
That's what
right?
it was,
Where
the taco boats,
where you
yes.
just basically, and it's funny because the concept
Yes.
is amazing. You take the bag of Doritos, you go sideways, you cut it open,
Yeah.
and so then you have it, and then you just put in the ground beef, you put in the lettuce and tomatoes,
Yeah.
and they just eat it right from the bag,
Yeah.
and it is.
Can we have a demonstration next time?
Listen, walking taco is another name. So that's been very popular, and it's funny. I even see it now at food trucks. Like when I go to fairs and stuff, I see it there, and so it's really it's been
It's a popular request
it is
at
a
my
very
house.
popular request. Angela, I will see what I can do
Yeah,
join the cafeteria advisory committee.
The next retreat,
Yeah.
Catered with walking.
I know. Well, I mean, my son's 22, and he still does the whole taco thing. So it's been going on for
It's
a
a
while.
thing, yeah.
It's legendary
Yeah.
in Farmington.
It's more a Keystone Lunches.
All right. Let's see. Oh, B, approval of gift donation, Farmington High School. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have to vote. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Next item, B, approval of gift donation, Farmington High School Drama Program. Can I have a motion?
Yep, I move to approve the gift donation of black and white scrim curtains to benefit Farmington High School drama productions in accordance with board policy regarding gifts and donations exceeding $12,000 in value.
So I'm going to pretend like I can really talk about scrim curtains, and so.
Oh, I'm sorry, second.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
So we have Paula Ray, who my understanding is a former resident of Farmington, no longer works here, but longtime resident, supporter of public schools and the arts program here, and has generously donated the money for including installation for these scrim curtains. So this is clearly an enhancement. This is something that we wouldn't ordinarily put in our operating budget. This was something that even I asked, did it get value engineered out of the high school project? And even though they told me it didn't even kind of get that far, and it was just something that, it's like always be a really nice to have, but it's hard to justify given all the other needs to kind of put that in. And so, Paula Ray was kind enough to like I said, to be willing to pay for this, including, like I said, the installation. Sometimes you get a donation and then they're like, okay, well now the district has to come up with money to install and do this, but this is, to get it purchased, installed, and ready to go for the drama program.
Awesome.
So we're very appreciative.
Wow. She's a former board member too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Former town
And
clerk.
town
No, I know
Yeah.
that. Just giving her
And an
recognition
alumni
on the
of
board.
Farmington
Oh, wow,
High.
okay.
Yeah.
She's
See?
an alumni of Farmington High.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. 9, consideration of Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations report, approval of April 2026 financial statement report. Can I have a motion?
Yep, I move to approve the April 2026 financial statement report as presented.
Second.
So I'm
You're on a roll tonight, Dan.
Discussion.
I'll just keep going here. So, as I talked about the budget impact and update, as you can see in the report, right now, like I said, trending there, it's looking at a balance of, currently there about, $220,000. I still do anticipate that going up a little higher as some of the encumbrances get released and we find, we don't end up meeting those. There's still gonna be some additional revenue, that we get when we get through, our choice grants and our build back. Program, so we'll have some of those pieces. We'll also look at some opportunities. I know one thing that we're looking also to be able to take advantage of is, once again, I'll test your memories. Some of the major projects we were talking about is some cabinets redoing at East Farms, and we were kind of phasing those in and doing like 7 this summer, and then the plan was to do 7 next summer, and kind of finish it out. So we probably will have some opportunities to kind of say, while they're in there, to also save, expenses, to say, hey, let's go ahead and just do all 14, right? And so we'll be able to like save some long-term money on that and kind of either move forward on our major projects on, we call those out-year projects, and be able to do that, and so still kind of take advantage of some of those pieces. So like I said, looking, really good, really excited, to be able to kind of have the luxury of being able to see how do we take advantage of this and put ourselves in really an even better fiscal thing, as opposed to trying to, as you see sometimes other districts where they're just doing freezes and just hoping to get to land at zero. Happy to take any questions.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. So the next item, 10, executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
For
and
all
invite-
these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, invite Dan and Veronica.
Do you have the motion? Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Yep, I move to executive session at,
You have to read it all.
oh, I have to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not so
All right,
fast.
so I move to executive session for the discussion of school resource officer report, discussion and approval of employee leave of absence request, discussion of technology department staffing shifts, consideration of appointment of the supervisor of special services, and the discussion and approval of nurses' contract for the years 2026, 2027, 2027, 2028, and 2028, 2029. At,
Well, you also have
8:35.
to invite who's included.
oh, okay. Never had to do that before.
Do it
And
right,
attendance
James.
at
Doing
the,
it
attendance at the executive session shall be limited to members of the Board of Education, superintendent of schools, assistant superintendents, others whose testimony or opinion is necessary for the period of time required to present information related to the purpose of the executive session at 8:35.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? We are in executive session.
I move to return to public session at 10:06 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
I also move to extend the meeting past 10 o'clock.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
All right. Excellent.
So we are back in regular session. So I will need a motion for the leave.
Yep, you got it. I move to approve Allison Fitzpatrick's request for a one-year extension of their leave of absence for the period of the 2026-2027 school year without pay.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
I move to approve the nurse contract for the years of 2026-2027, 2027-2028, and 2028-2029 as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
And last but not least, I move to approve the superintendent's recommendation to appoint Melissa Sutton to the position of Supervisor of Special Services effective July 1st, 2026.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Welcome
Welcome,
to
Melissa. Oh. Well, welcome, Melissa, and thank you for staying so late. We're really pleased to have you join our district and look forward to your experience and leadership and dedication that you're going to bring to this important role. We're confident that you will be a valuable addition to our team and our school community. So welcome to Farmington.
And thanks again for being here so late.
Jess, you should stay, right?
I have a contract for her, yes.
All right. All right, so,
We're almost done, Melissa, so you don't have to wait that much.
all right, so, the last thing is, are we on 13?
We are on 13.
13,
yeah, Board of-
report of the board chair. I have something longer to say, and I'm going to be brief since it's late. But no, I just wanted to, just thank everybody for all their hard work during the school year, since it is, the end of the school year. Thank you to Jess and your team, the faculty and staff, and families, and all the students for all their hard work. And, I just hope everybody has a great summer. Everybody has a chance to reset and just have a healthy summer. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn at 10:09.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Abstention? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 10:09.
Don't we have to